The prompts that I write, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 page long prompts. Okay. But I got really good outputs. And I'll tell you right now, my LLM doesn't hallucinate. Okay. Because I've taken that out. I told it, you know what? Don't bullshit me. I want straight facts. I want you to check your work. I put all of that into the prompt because I want to make sure it gives me good, accurate information out.
Welcome to Connect to Market. I'm Casey Cheshire. Join us as we learn from marketing leaders who are driving founder-led growth. We're sponsored by Ringmaster, building B2B podcasts and communities to reconnect you with your audience. All right, we are going. Here we're doing this thing. We've hit the button, and there's no turning back now. We must have this conversation, and I'm excited for it. And let me introduce our guest today. He's an absolute rock star, member of the community as well. You've probably bumped into him. If not, you may see him on the next breakout session. He is a marketing leader, a thought leader to marketing leaders even. Also an expert, dare I say, in the agentic AI world, and also influencing that and getting that interface with marketing, which we are all dying to learn more about. I can't wait to talk to him because he's got there's a couple decades. There's maybe 3 decades of experience in all these things. And so I can't wait to sort of crack open that brain and learn from it. He's been honored by E&X magazine as a difference maker, also awarded Executive of the Year. Let's talk leadership. Let's talk about marketing. Let's talk AI. Vice President of Marketing at A.I.S, Keven Ellison. Welcome to the show, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this.
Man, you're a busy guy. If we talk again in a quarter, I'm going to have twice as much to say about you.
Well, that's the world we live in, right? Everything's moving fast.
That is.
They released robots in the home for the homes yesterday.
Is that the bathroom? I saw the bathroom cleaning one. Is that the one?
No. Well, Neo was released, and then and we're going to have Figure 03. Figure's going to be releasing their 03 model, and they're going to have 10,000 of those models probably produced this year, and then 25,000 a year after that. And then Tesla's coming out with theirs very shortly. So things are moving fast.
Yeah, and if you still have a Roomba, you're not the cool kid anymore,
I still have a Roomba. I'm not the
What
cool
is
kid.
that? What is that? All right, man. Well, let's roll our sleeves up. I can't wait to ask you this first question. In order to do that, I have to put on this giant blue foam finger and ask you, Keven, what is the number one thing that marketers need to do in order to connect to their market these days?
Wow. It's such a loaded question. And I'd say,
It is. It's not fair.
yeah, well, no, it is, but it's a fair question. But what I would say is that we need to be the leaders when it comes to AI. And when I say that is that not only we have to be the ambassadors within our own organizations, because we're the first ones that could benefit from AI, from the LLMs and from all the tools that have been developed. But we should be doing this within our communities, within our networks, within everyone else around us, because it's sort of that rising boat lifts all tide, or rising tide lifts all boats, right? So it's sort of that mentality. And if really, if you're looking for thought leaders and you're looking for those influencers, or you're looking for those types of people that you can inspire, then I would say that's what you need to do. I do that every day with my own team, because hey, I'm, been doing this for almost 35 years, and they keep asking me when I'm going to retire. And I tell them when I'm irrelevant, and they say, we don't think you'll ever be irrelevant because you stay so far ahead of us. And I said, I only do that because I know you guys have your head down doing work every day, and you need somebody to help you along and filter out all the noise that's coming out, especially what's going on in the AI and the agentic AI world.
So true. And I just remember early on trying to do a YouTube search for some more advanced AI type, strategies, and you just get the onslaught of this garbage, and noise, to your point. So it can be really hard, especially if you don't have that much time. Like you're saying, people have their heads down. And so you're leading your organization, you're leading your team into doing this. Why do you suppose more marketers aren't doing that?
Well, I think we're pretty busy most of the point, right? You
Yeah,
can't
fair.
see, it's really hard to see what's new and what's coming when you've got work to do. And with everyone else in the competition that you have, uh, I can't see there's another way around this but adapting and having and bringing AI into your organization quickly and strongly, because that's only going to free you up for other time. For instance, I just built a complete workflow for my content manager in Agentic AI, and I took her whole workflow for everything she did. She came into our organization, and she started with me 7 years ago. We laid out a content strategy, built a great content plan, um, figured out how to write really good, strong content, answering customers' questions based on the methodology of They Ask You Answer by Mark Sheridan. Got trained by his organization. He's since written endless customers, and by answering customers' questions and writing really good content, we we benefited from being in the top of the search engine, right? And Google search engine. Now you've got AI or answer engines, or you've got AI that's actually that's growing in search. And so we have to again adapt, right? So she started out doing about with research, doing about 2 to 3 articles per week. Um, Last week she did 10 articles in a day because we were able to write a GPT that actually writes based on her style guide, and outline, and then a full article with internal links, outbound links, everything that we need in order to generate a great article. Now she can do 10 of them in a day. All right.
Wow.
That's unheard of, right? But that's just the first step. What we've done is we've taken the whole thing from where we take, say, a creative brief on our organization, then we take and build a keyword strategy, then we build a content calendar. These are all the things that she did in her role. And then she would build out and write have the content calendar, write the articles. And then we would have our designer build the images for the articles. And then we'd have our web designer, senior web designer, throw all those onto a web page. Now, we built this into an agentic AI workflow using an agent, and we can do everything seamlessly. And putting it all together where it goes through that, we can also split it off and write not only SEO articles that she was used to writing, but now we can write AEO articles or AIO or GIO, however you want to call GEO articles. We can write those at the same time, then drop those into folders with images, have the articles there, write the schema code for the AEO articles, and now it's ready to be posted onto the website. And this could all be done in a matter of minutes now. Something that took her a month to get 12 to 15 articles, we can probably do this in probably about 5 minutes and do more.
Damn.
It's crazy.
Hearing that both excites me and scares me because it seems overwhelming. It's almost like
Yeah.
there's a group of people who are the AI nerds and they've figured it out. And then there's all the rest of us who are trying to piece together the different pieces. And it sounds like you've gone down Alice's rabbit hole. You figured it out.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And it took a little bit of time, but you have to start the basics, right?
Yeah.
95% of the people that I talk to do not know how to prompt accurately in AI. So let's start at the beginning. Prompting is everything, right? And when I say 95% of the people I talk to, it's not their fault. It's the way you get a response. Anytime you put in something into ChatGPT or Claude or Mistral or Grok or Gemini, you get a response back.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't know how good that response can be. Okay. And the reason I say that is because you get something back from whatever you put in. And so I learned on from a bunch of influencers that I follow about how to prompt correctly. Top of mind is Nate B. Jones. He has a great Substack, and he's a project engineer out of Silicon Valley. And he's an older guy. It's probably my age, and he actually breaks things down on how you can prompt right and right. Okay. There's four good things that go into a prompt, four major things. One is you have to tell it to be an expert. Okay. You don't tell it to be an expert like, I want you to be a copywriter. No, you tell it to be, I want you to be an expert copywriter in, for a Fortune 500 or a SaaS company that is in the top 1% of your industry. And I want your last four articles that you've written have increased engagement and traffic to your site at a 280% or more. Now, that's a role, okay? Most people, when they hear a role, you just put in, hey, I want you to be something, right? That's not it, okay? You got to be very specific. Specificity and context is so key. The next thing that you need is context. You wouldn't take somebody that just started their job at your organization. You wouldn't just say, here's your laptop, go do your job.
Yeah, right.
You have to get them trained on your products and services, your background on your company, your philosophy in selling or buying or marketing. You have to do all those things and put the training in to get enough out of them so they can do their job. Now, so you need to put in a bunch of context. Now, I've done this and I've now built it so that I can just say, and I built it into each of the LLM models that they know exactly what our company does and has all that information. And I built it doing deep research on our own company, then adding it to it that I wanted to see. And now I've got a 4 or 5 page document that is everything about us. Okay. Products and services, how we market, what our ideal customer profile is, what our tone is, how our brand, what the brand reflection is, all of that, right? So you put enough context in it, and context of what you want the LLM or the chatbot to do. The third thing you need to do is you need to give it what success looks like. Do you want it in a table format? Do you need it in an image, an infographic? Do you want it in a 1,200 word article? Do you need it with an article with FAQs in it? You have to put all that specificity into it on what the success of what you want it to output. And the fourth and probably the most important thing that you need to provide in LLM is you need at the end of it to say these things and quote, ask me any clarifying question or ask me any clarifying questions to ensure you complete this task with 100% accuracy, end quote. Now, if you say that at the end of your prompt, if you didn't give enough specificity and context in the second or third part, it'll go back and ask you. Okay, because you've asked it now, hey, I want to complete this task. I want you to be in this role. I want you to do this, all this, but you need to ask me stuff that I may have forgotten. Okay. That's how you write a good prompt. Now, you see a lot of people out there online and they all share prompts, right? They say, hey, write this prompt. It's a paragraph long. Be a role, do this, and I want you to be an expert in this, and I want you to write this and do this for me, right? Those are not prompts. Those are concepts, okay? And so the prompts that I write may be 2, 3, 4, 5 page long prompts, okay? But I got really good outputs. And I'll tell you right now, my LLM doesn't hallucinate, okay? I hear a lot of people complaining about hallucinations. Well, because I've taken that out. I told it, you know what? Don't bullshit me. I want straight facts. I want you to check your work. I put all of that into the prompt because I want to make sure it gives me good, accurate information out. My prompts or my outputs don't have those M dashes, right? Or it doesn't use the word game changer in it. You know why? Because I tell it to take all that out.
Which part do you tell it that?
I tell it in my prompt, or I give it a list of words not to use because I have a list of words that I know that you can tell that AI has written something because it used game changer or innovation or uses those words or in conclusion, right? So it does all those things because other people have done that over time. And if you really know how an LLM works, it's actually taking what other people have done and piecing it all back together. So, and that's what I wanted to make it look like it's more humanistic. I also take anything that it's doing any writing, and I might take it from ChatGPT and I'll have it written, and then I'll put it into Claude, give it a humanistic prompt and say, I want short sentences. I want it in bullets. I want it in tables. I want all these things that I want you to do, and I want to make it more humanistic for and shorten up the sentences and things like that, because I take it from one LLM to the next one. And then at the end of it, I have it strip all the watermark, well, they call it watermarks, but it's little characters they put in between each of the spaces inside words, but people don't know they're invisible, but they can be picked up by AI detectors really easily. So I have it remove all of that too. Okay. So I just dumped on you all the things about prompting, right?
No, this is fantastic. So tell me, so there are
Yeah.
watermarks?
So there's invisible, they call them invisible watermarks, but they're not really watermarks. It's code. You're getting code out of the LLM. And so what you could do is you could take any output that you have in any writing, throw it into
Yeah.
a text editor, or throw it into like Notepad for Windows, or text editor for Apple, and or the iOS, and you could just throw it in there and take it back out, and now it's gone. But or you might have to, you could do it. Do a perplexity search and say, hey, what are watermarks for AI writing? And it'll give you examples and show you, or it'll show you free tools that are out there that you can paste it in, and it'll remove it all and take it all up.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So you're putting way more intentionality into feeding. It's almost like, good in, good out. Crap in, crap out kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. But that's the most important thing. If you
Yeah.
learned you spent the next few weeks and you just learned how to prompt really well, you'd be way ahead of everybody else, because I'll tell you, 95% of people can't do that. Okay. And a lot of people that complain about, all the people that complained about ChatGPT when 5 came out and said it can't do this and this, and I don't like it. And there were reasons, because it wasn't being as nice to you before, but also it needed to be prompt differently. So that's another thing you need to look at, is how you're prompting. So that's prompting is really, really important. That's the foundation of everything. Okay. But
Okay.
that's where I started. So I started 2.5 years ago, learned how to prompt. Okay.
Got it.
Then I took that, and then I learned how the different tools. Like I use certain tools for prompting or for text and writing. I use certain tools for imaging. We use certain tools for video. So we use different tools for different tasks that we use in our organization. And there's a lot of them out there, but there's some really good ones, right? So, like on the video side, you got Sora 2, you got HeyGen for avatars. You got, Hailu. That's a great tool for video. You got Gemini, is actually
Okay.
doing some great stuff with video as well. So there's a lot of great tools out there, but I'm a firm believer in that we don't use here, or my team doesn't really use any of these tools where they put a front end onto the LLM. We're basically foundational people here, and I'm teaching my team to use the LLMs or the tools like for design using Midjourney. It's really funny when they told me Midjourney when it first came out, and it said, "Hey, it's only on the Discord channel." I said, "Great! Used to be a gamer years ago, and I used to use the Discord channel all the time. Throw it in
Yeah.
where I started right in." And then they had to build it for everyone else and build a web version of it so that everybody else could use it. But I still use the Discord channel today.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so
Um,
prompting and tools are is the beginning, right?
so I get the sense that other than maybe specialized medium tools that specialize in particular mediums like images and videos, you're not you're going straight to the LLM itself. You're not using some
Yes.
sort of middle ground because you've gotten so good at the prompts. You don't need the middlemen are like doing the prompt help,
Yes, absolutely.
maybe some UI. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's no other reason to it. If you learn how to prompt, I've created some GPTs that I've provided out on free on the GPT exchange. One is called Prompt Master, which is one word XL and then space XL, and that teaches you how to prompt. So if you don't know how to prompt, you can use that. I also created one called Image Architect that teaches you how to prompt for the each of the different actually you put in the information and then it'll throw the prompt out depending on what tool you want or what LLM you wanted to use for images. But I had to create those because I had to create them for my team. Okay. I,
Right.
I'm always trying to solve business problems. And I found that AI is really good at doing that, but I
Yeah.
had to do that with my team. Now, my content manager, when I started down this role, she told me the first thing she said to me a year and a half ago was, I don't believe, Kevin, I know you're pushing AI, but I don't believe in AI because AI just cannot read or write as well as I can. And I said, yeah, okay. I started with the AP style book too, and the style guide when I was younger,
Yep. Yep.
and that's how we all started and that's how we write. And I said, okay, I know you don't think so, but I want to prove something to you. I said, so give me your best article and then the title of the next article you want to write. And so I took those overnight. I built a style guide and off of how she writes and how she writes articles. And then I took that and then I took the next title and I had it build an outline and then I had it
Yeah.
rewrite it once I liked the outline. And it only took me a few minutes to do this. I sent it back to her in the morning and she goes, wow, Kevin, that's the best writing you've ever done. And I said, that's not me. That's
That's not
AI.
me.
And she
Yeah.
goes, I'm in. Okay. I want you to teach me. So I now have a full team of individuals that are now behind me. And I said, listen, if you stay with me and you stay through this journey we're all on with AI, I'm going to show you where you're going to be. I grew
Right.
up learning that I was going to manage people. Okay. And that's not what our future is. Okay. You may be seeing, I mean, today we saw, or last night I even saw on the news that that there's going to be, I don't know, 40,000 laid off at Amazon, and they're going to probably lay a total off in the next 10 years of 400,000, right?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're seeing all these layoffs that are coming. I mean, there are tons of companies that are laying off due to AI, right?
Yeah.
But and that's because AI is taking up the lower end of the workforce, right? But I grew up managing people. I knew I was going to be a manager, right? But I told
Yeah.
them, you're not going to be managing people. You're going to be managing machines. I wanted to get them in the mindset because as I'm building out agents and I'm going to teach them, I'm going to deliver them an agent, okay, that takes
Yeah.
over their whole workflow. Now, I built GPTs or I built the tools to talk to them, to ask them everything that they do, what applications they use, how they
Yeah.
use it, and do it. And then it builds a specification that I can take and I can drop that into, say, Claude in order to write me JSON code, in order to build an N8N agent, in order to build out 80% of the workflow for them. And then all I have to do is connect it and do the finer points. Now I deliver them, like I delivered her, the content management system. And she says, okay, now what am I going to do, Kevin? I said, you just took my whole workflow. And I said, you're going to manage the machine. This
Mhm.
machine now I can deliver to small to medium sized customers. So we're going to take our content management system. We're going to test it for the next 2 months. And in January, we're going to roll it out and let any small to medium sized business have access to our content management system. And her two priorities are going to be, well, she has three priorities, but her first two priorities, one, manage that machine, keep it up and running, making sure it works. I'm going to teach her every little node in that. I could show
Mm.
you what her content management system looks like and what it looks like in any again. I've got it here. The second thing that she's going to do is I want you to keep it updated. Just like we knew that Google search is not going to be around forever, or there's going to be competitors like AI search. Well,
Yep.
we need to write articles in AI. So I want you to be that expert that we're going to keep putting those updates and revisions to that content management system so that it's better than any other content management system available. Okay.
Right.
Now
Right.
she's managing the machine. And then she goes, okay, but what else am I going to do with the rest of my time? I said, now you're going to be free to do other things for us. You're going to be developing content in other areas. And at the same time, we're going to take your workflows and whatever you're doing in those other areas, and we're going to turn those into agents as well. So you're going to have a fleet of agents that are going to be your, which would have thought you were going to have is a bunch of people underneath you writing articles, developing content for the web, whatever the content you were going to think people were going to be doing, you're going to have a fleet of agents that are going to do that for you. That's not far off.
Dang.
Hey, you want a couple of predictions that are going to blow your mind?
Right, yeah, yeah, give me some predictions, yeah.
So there's not going to be a CRM in the future.
Okay.
Forget Salesforce, gone. Okay. You're not going to have it because here's what's going to happen. I see that AI is going to be able to follow us, everything we do. And we already see it now. I can take a meeting that you and I, or let's say we can take this whole podcast. I can take the
Yep.
transcript in here. I built a GPT that takes out all the meeting notes and builds it really quickly. It builds what the action items are. And I built that because there wasn't a tool out there. But now we've got Read AI and you've got Otter and you've got all these tools. But you know what?
Totally.
ChatGPT just killed all of them because you can build a GPT that does the exact same thing. Same thing are going to happen with CRMs. You're going to have an AI, voice activated AI that listens, and you're going to take it with you to every meeting. If today you can do that with your phone. You can actually do this with your phone, right? But
Yeah.
once it's listening, it's going to be able to take all that contact information. It's going to be able to figure out what the follow-ups are going to be. They're going to know what the action items are. It's going to be able to write your emails for you. It's going to be able to do everything a CRM does. It's going to put it into a vector database. So you're still going to have a database,
Yeah.
but you're not going to have a CRM because you're not going to need it because the AI is going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Human resources. You're not going to have human resources anymore. You're going to have agent resources. And when I say that, you're going to, like today, I go to human resources and say, I've got this job role. I need to hire somebody that can do these things. Okay. It's not going to be any different for me, except for I'm going to give them a job role and they're going to give me an agentic. It's going to say, okay, they're going to put it into a specification. We're going to build out the agents or the agents that you need. And now I've got all the tools that are just going to do the role of what a person was going to do. So I don't need human resources anymore, except for maybe the higher layers in an organization, but you're not going to need that anymore because it's all going to be built for you.
So a question, do you think when you think about, training the next marketer, is there a value to learning how it was done in the first place? Like, this is how we used to write content.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason I say that, okay,
Yeah.
I'm 63 years old. I'm old. Okay. All right. I didn't think I'd have a lot of life left in me. I thought I was going to retire soon. Okay.
Sure.
But I'll tell you, the people that are getting the most out of AI right now are the 50-year-olds and plus. And you know why? A lot of people, I'm learning how to build agents right now. Okay. And it's a no code situation where I've never been able to do something like this, but now I can, which is great. But I have a lot of business experience. Now, I see a lot of kids out there today that are building agentic AI and building agent workflows out there, but they don't have that job experience in order to put that knowledge into it. Now, can you find it? Yeah, because today information's been free for a long time because of the internet.
Oh yeah.
Now, knowledge, right? But training is now free too. So you've got information, knowledge, and training. So you can take all that stuff because it's all free. And as long as you know how to get that information, then you can put it into your agentic workflows. But today, right now, it's those people with the business experience that can actually put the great information, or what I would say, you can put your own soul into that agentic AI, because that's what's really, in order for it to make it work properly, that's what it needs.
Now, one of the things that I'm glad to hear that, because when I think about coaching the next marketer, it's like, we need to understand, and I'm glad you brought up the books earlier about the idea of they ask you answer and there's customers, because we need to be able to understand what kind of prompt to make.
Yes.
I think when we take that for granted, or we fall short of it, and then we get like so content out of it because we're just not taking the time, or we don't have the business experience, to your point, to give it the right direction to say, this is where the content should come from.
That's a great point. And so here's something that I had found on really early, because I've been going around the company and I've been sharing my experience and trying to get the rest of our team um, uh, and get them inundated and immersed like I am in AI. Okay. And I had a really interesting conversation with our admins in the finance department, and I was talking to it was mostly a female department, and I was talking to them, and I was saying, so what are you using AI for? But, and we were talking about what you can use it for, and I was trying to figure out a way that I could sort of teach them that you're only limited by your creativity. Okay. And that's something that you need to really teach in order to put people grasp onto. And so one of the things that I taught them was, hey, do this with AI. Go home tonight and use ChatGPT, download it onto your phone. Then I want you to take a picture of the contents of open your fridge up, take the contents of your fridge. I want you to take take a picture of the contents of your freezer. I want you to take a picture of your spice rack and take a picture of your pantry. And then I want you to ask GPT, what could I make for a meal? It'll come back and give you a set of meals that you could make out of all of those, right? You never thought you could use AI to do that, but you can do that with it, okay? And then you can say, okay, now I picked this meal. Give me the recipe for it. It'll give you the recipe for it. And you're done, right?
Wow.
So that's sort of the part where creativity is really important. And so I'm looking at, while I'm learning how to build really good agents, because I'm in a mentorship program right now, in order to learn how to build agents, I'm trying to figure out not only how to solve business problems, but what would I want to build? And I'm having a lot of fun with that because I'm building some fun stuff, but they'll probably be any organization could use because I'm saying, hey, I'd love to have this. And I'd love AI to be able to be there to give me consult of whatever I'm doing.
Right. And again, the consult's only going to be as good as how much you set it up, how much
Yeah.
you're telling it to be the expert in what you want to ask it about, and the context and what success looks like. And I think the clarifying question, I was glad you mentioned that, because I think so little do we ever give it enough information necessarily about the situation. And you'd like it to ask you questions, but it's almost like that's not its job unless you tell it to ask you questions, right?
True. In fact, a couple of things there, right? So I might be a bit of a prude when it comes to looking at other people's work, other agents that people have or workflow automations. I don't,
Mhm.
I won't trust anybody but my own. And so we're sort of in that era as marketers. We might look at, hey, do you want to build or buy? Right. And so you might just say, hey, it would be easier for me to buy. But is it going to work as good as you work? And that's why I don't trust anybody but my own stuff. Right. So I'm going to
Right.
build my own stuff. Clarifying questions is so important. But I'll tell you that my chatbots now are so used to the questions that I've asked and having memory turned on is like, I may spend my morning where I say, oh, that's a pretty good idea. Somebody has this prompt chain that they have and somebody that I was following, an influencer, and the concepts are good. The prompts are crap, but the concepts are really good. And so I'll take pictures of that on my phone and then I'll dump it into ChatGPT or Claude and I'll say, hey, I want you to be an expert in prompt engineering. I want you to recreate these prompts from the images I just sent you. And it takes the images of the screen captures I took of whatever
Mhm.
social media platform I was on, and it puts them all together and it builds the prompt. But now what it does for me, it says, do you want me to turn it into, Kevin, do you want me to turn it into a super prompt? It knows what I expect out of a prompt. And so it will then build me that 3 or 4 page long prompt or prompt chain in order for me to use it. It knows that I will not be satisfied with the simple prompts the way they are. First, it'll capture them. First, it'll put them all together the way it was. And then it says, it just asked me, it says, Kevin, you want it to be a super prompt now? Yeah, sure. Or do you want me to show you how you could do this in a multi-level chain prompt? Yeah, I would love for you
Mm.
to do that. And it just does that for me now.
Wow. So if you start with the prompt and you shift your mindset to understanding that you're managing agents, not managing people, um, how do you start to integrate this into your marketing goals and your
Right.
marketing delivery?
Well, it's not just marketing. It's going to be throughout the whole organization, right? So I've
Yeah.
already built out for our company in the future an agentic AI organizational chart with all the agents that were going to be needed. I mean, it was a snapshot. I did this 8 months ago, and I did this because it's really that thought process. But I had to, and I had long conversations with ChatGPT when I was out walking, and I'd say, because I didn't know, I'd say, okay, take a look at my latest rendition of my org chart, my agentic AI workflow that I built out for all the
Yeah.
different departments in our company, and say, what else do I need? Then I started talking about MCP servers, and I talked about a RAG server, and I went, okay, now can you explain to me what an MCP server and how they fit in? It explained to me what it was, but it first talked to me really technically, and I didn't understand it. So I'd say, okay, let's start at a 10-year-old level. Okay. Tell
Yep.
me at a 10-year-old level how you would explain what an MCP server is. Now I take it up to high school. Now we take it up to college. Now it's a PhD or a real technical CTO. Tell me what it is. And then I could understand it, right? But we need to start asking it questions in order to learn. That's where I had to do, because I have a thirst for learning. Okay. I have that curiosity that I really wanted to do, and I want to build great things. But we need to start. That's where you start with the prompting. Then you go from prompting to building GPTs, gems, and now Claude has skills. They have projects, which are great. I have a marketing team that just is amazing in projects in Claude that does some great things. It's almost working like an agent. But then you build, and now they have skills where you can rely on it and say, hey, I want you to take these humanistic writing skills and I want you to apply to whatever I'm doing. And it just does that. But then you taken things from prompting, you got that down. You then learn how to build the GPTs and the gems and the projects and the skills. And then you take that and you take it into workflow automation. And then from there, you take it into an agent, or and then you take it into building out a whole organization. You want to see
Mm.
this sort of in action?
Yeah.
You want to see some images? All right.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll show you some samples. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So ChatGPT, and this is my working version of ChatGPT. Oh, one of the things I did with my team was, and this isn't because I was smart or anything. The first thing that I did with my team was I told them to use my account. So I had everybody, somebody from social media, somebody from content, somebody from design, somebody from video. We were all using my same account. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Probably against the user rules and everything. But we're not doing that anymore.
Let Sam Altman hear that.
Yeah. But the first 6 months of doing that, it became into building. So it now thought that I was this super marketer because I could take on all these roles. Right. Then we
Yeah.
branched it out and made it into teams so they could take their stuff with them. But we built. So prompting has gone. So I told you about prompting. Okay. And I told
Mhm.
you that you have to use a lot of context. But then I have all of these GPTs. And if you explore into my GPT world is, I probably have 50, probably going on 75 now GPTs. But if I wanted to take something and like I do something over and over again, I'll build a GPT. Like we have this thing called an article guru. It's how we write articles. And I'd say, hey, write me an article. Let me see if I can get this out of the way. An article on how to manage IT services for my small business instead of using my quote IT guy. Okay, so we built a GPT that actually will first write you an outline.
Mhm.
And so what it does is it goes through, it's actually writing the article because I told it to do it, but it's actually writing out the article and it's doing it in the way we tell it to write.
Right.
See the table that it put in there?
Yeah.
Yep. It dropped in a table, it answers, and now it's writing an article that's probably about 1,200 words long, and it writes out the full article. This is a beauty of having a GPT to do it. I do it for creative briefs where it asks you 35 questions about your business, and then it knows your tone and all of that. So I've done that.
Mm.
Okay. So now I know that I'm going to use these things as we go further along. Okay. So that's a GPT. Okay. In Claude, I've got one that does, it's an interactive marketing team. And the way the interactive marketing team is, it's got different parts, different projects on what it does inside that in order to build out a complete marketing plan based on what I wanted to do. So I would just go into this project, type in what I want, and it starts asking me questions about what product, what services, and then it builds out campaigns for each one of them. Soup to nuts, done. Now you take something like that, and here's a business problem we had. I wanted my team to be posting on LinkedIn, but they're either too busy, they don't know best practices, they haven't written in LinkedIn before, and then LinkedIn, you want to make sure it's not only you want it to make sure that it's unique. Anything that you write. So it can't be everybody writing about the exact same, writing the same way. You can't copy and paste what other people are doing. You can repost other people's work, but you can't take somebody else's work and plagiarize it and put it, because it's just not going to get the lift that it wants. So what I did was, and our salespeople are sometimes just too lazy because they've got other things to do. And this takes, I watched one of our managers, I asked them to show me what it took to write an article on LinkedIn. And he said, well, here's the process, Kevin. First got to find an article that I want to write about. Then I want to read the article. Then I figure out what I want to write. Then I start writing it. And then I have to do a little spell checking and grammar and everything before I'm ready to post it. And I said, okay, show me. And he did this, and it took about 40 minutes. What I did was I created a workflow automation that you just take an email, you send it an email, and you just put a link in. Like if you find an article on TechCrunch, or you find something that you want to write about that you're interested and that you think your network wants to do, and you send it to it. It looks in this inbox, and what it does is it then takes it, and then we had a style guide which we've created and set up for each one of us, so that it knows how to write for each one of us. It writes in best practices. So there's my style guide. And then it also shows how I would want my articles to be written. So it's different than everyone else's. And then going back to it, it goes through the process. It'll read the link on the article. It screen scrapes it. It then processes it based on my style guide, goes all the way through it, then uses Claude, and takes and writes the article. And then it sends it back to me in an email right back to me. And this is all done in a matter of, probably I get it back in about 2 minutes. And when I do this, it usually comes back, and I don't have one up, but if you bear with me a second, I'll bring one up in Outlook to show you. Oh, here, I can just show you the finished piece. So if you look at my articles that are written, and I'll take some of mine, and here's one that I had it right. This is what it came back. It gives me 3 different ways to write the article. It also gives me different hooks that I can write in the article. And then it puts the links in, and it puts the hashtags in, and all I have to do is copy and paste it. And then I can adjust it if ever anything I want, but it gives me 3 different ways to write the article. This I can do now, and I can post something in 2 minutes or less on LinkedIn. And it's in my style, in my writing style, and it's in my tone and everything else.
Right.
Got it?
Got it.
Okay. Now we talk about agents, right? So this is what an agent looks like, okay? And I was talking to you about my content manager. And so it starts with a creative brief.
What app is this?
This is N8N. So N, the letter N, the number 8, and then N. Okay. And these are how agents are being built. Now, ChatGPT just came out with its agents, but I'd say it's more of a toy yet still, because it doesn't connect like N8N does. N8N connects to just about everything. Zapier's got a good one too. So there's others that are out there, but this is probably one that's most widely used. And so what it does is it takes and extracts a creative brief on our company, or it could be anybody's company, because I have you fill out all the questions and answers, or we ask you a bunch of questions in a GPT that does that. Then it extracts the keywords. It creates a folder on Google Drive, one SEO folder and an AEO folder, because we're going to start writing articles. It builds a calendar, an SEO calendar, and an AEO calendar. Then it goes out in Perplexity and sees how other people have written on the AEO side to do a comparison. Then it takes the SEO calendar, it takes a message model, and it builds it out and parses the article and writes it. And then it's generating the article in ChatGPT, and it's writing the article in Claude for the AEO article. It then writes schema code. So it puts schema code into the folder once it gets done with an image for the AEO article, as well as an image for the SEO article. And then it's done. And then it sends you an email to say it's all done. And probably I'll put at the end of this, I'll probably put a reporting function at the very end. But this is where the world is going. And I took something that now used to take the research and the writing and all of this that would take, you could only get 3 articles out of my content manager a week. And this is not even counting her doing the research or doing the content calendaring or the keyword data research and everything. But now it can all be done in minutes. I hit go and it starts doing it and putting it into folders and writing it, putting the images, and it's ready to be posted on the website. And if I wanted to, at the end of it, when I get done here, if you have a WordPress website, I could actually log in and do the post automatically on your website.
Wow.
This is where our future is going.
That's where we're going. And we need to take adoption a little bit more seriously, or a lot more seriously, honestly.
Yes. I agree.
Well, man, I don't know if you've noticed, but we have been in a time warp, and literally, I mean, I feel like I could talk to you about this stuff for hours. So we're gonna have to have a part 2 at some point.
Okay.
But this is absolutely fascinating, and we're definitely, let's make sure we get the links to all those agents you already created, the one that's helping train on prompts and on image architecting, all the things. We'll link to them in the show notes.
And Casey, there's one more thing that I want to share with your audience, and that is I'm going to be doing a webinar called AI or Die probably in January. And so I invite everybody to go to my LinkedIn. I'm spelled Keven, Keven. We could probably put this and put that link out too of my LinkedIn. But you might want to follow me because I put stuff out all the time on what's going on with AI and what direction my journey is taking. Yeah. But I'd also invite everybody to come to my webinar that I'll be doing, and I'll be just showing you how all the tools that we're building right now and how we're doing it, so that really it's a lot of what we've been talking about here, but I'll be doing that in January.
Beautiful. And I think the community, we could even feature you before then, or even
love to,
do like a private webinar or something like that as well.
I love talking about AI. I live it. I really do.
I can tell, man. I can tell, but it's so helpful because you're keeping it real as we try to navigate the craziness that's going on here. So
there's so much.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for coming on here. I feel like I got a masterclass condensed into, a human hour or less. So thank you for coming on here, and I can't wait to learn more from you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely. And those listening, if you learned something here, and I freaking know you did, because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here, front and back, then share this with someone else. 1 people, 2 people, 3 people, 4, 1,000 people, whatever. But like to Kevin's point, adopt this or you will die. Your career, maybe not you as a person, but it'll feel like it. So let's adopt this, and let's be leaders for organizations, for other people, as we make these changes. So with that, Keven, thank you again, sir.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. Crazy cool, very exciting, extremely informative, future-looking episode of the Connect to Market Pod. We will see you all next time. And that wraps up another episode. Thank you for joining. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at connecttomarket.com. Connect to Market is sponsored by Ringmaster, creating podcasts and communities that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth.